Through majestic forests, alpine valleys and crystal-clear lakes, following the trails of wild animals, in search of rare birds, in places where no man had set a foot before. Precious, magnificent nature, in all its diversity and grandeur, in the documentary series Kazakhstan's Wildlife Sanctuaries. Visiting Karatau is something that every traveler should do. These ancient mountains store the most exciting legends of Kazakh people. According to some legends, the magical kobys, Korkita's musical instrument, is hidden in these mountains. Heroes of Kazakh epic, Asan Kaygı and Alpamız Batır, had passed through these black iron mountains. Our expedition visited this mysterious, poorly studied area of western Tien Shan. The outlines of the Karatau ridge appear on the backdrop of a vast steppe. It's been 12 years since the establishment of the Karatau Mountain Reserve. To date, the area of the reserve is 34,300 hectares or 51,800 hectares, including buffer zones. Buffer zones are territories adjacent to the reserve. Any actions that violate the natural regime, like deforestation, are prohibited here. The headquarters of the Karatau National Nature Reserve is located in Karatau city. The work begins with first calls of radio set. The dispatch is informed of everything at all times. The weather forecast promises clear sky for the day. Therefore, getting to the Hantage cordon shouldn't be a problem. And so, we took off. We load our luggage on horses and start climbing up the ridge, or rather the Terraske. Terraske and Kunge are very capacious concepts which are inherent in Kazakh language. Terraske is the northern slope of the mountain range, more humid and more severe. Kunge is a southern slope. Here snow melts earlier, there is less moisture and vegetation. The nature of Terraske and Kunge always differs. However, in Karatau, the difference is extremely obvious. The trail overgrown with grass is leading us upward. We see mushrooms here and there, not too many. Picturesque rocks are covered with lichens. Inclusions of white rock alternate with green copper oxides. In some places, rocks are cast with metallic luster. Even someone who is not well acquainted with geology would understand the riches of the subsoils of the Karatau range. Suddenly, from the height of the alpine meadows, the path rushes into the deep gorge. This is where you understand why this place was named Karatau. The surrounding rocks appear completely black. Local landscape has a peculiar relief, unlike other mountain systems in Kazakhstan. Modern science has determined that Karatau mountains are composed of Precambrian and Paleozoic rocks, peculiar rocks which determine the diversity of minerals here. We are in fact at the bottom of the Eurasian continent at the moment. This is the ancient Tethys Sea. One could even call it the ancient ocean. Therefore, the landscapes of Karatau are truly fantastic. It is no surprise that the oldest flora was formed and keeps forming on Karatau territories. The rich nature of Karatau preserves many endemic flora representatives. One of the most healthsome plants for Joly is Karatau onion. This plant blooms intensely throughout the whole summer. In spring, 4 types of tulips decorate mountain slopes: Greg's tulips, Albert's, Late and Kolpakovsky's tulips. Greek's tulip is widely spread kind from lilac family. We've come across it several times along our way. While these spring flowers have chosen green glades on sunny slopes of the foothills to grow on, Albert's tulips bloom among the stones. This spring in the reserve turned out rainy, and abundance of tulips in lowlands of gorges and on mountain peaks provide scientists with a lot of information. For example, the kind of weather that should be expected for summer. Next to the tulips, yellowish flowers of the iris family are pleasing viewers' eyes throughout the summer. June orchid iris, a perennial bulbous plant, sprouts starting from the second half of April and blooms only for 2-3 weeks. Interestingly, the flora of Karatau occupies the leading place in the world in terms of number of endemic and rare plants. At the same time, about 55 species are listed in the Red Book of Kazakhstan. To date, more than 1,200 different kinds of plants have been identified, including about 200 kinds of mushrooms, more than 200 algae types, 75 different mosses, about 5 types of ferns. Additionally to that, more than 600 species of high vascular plants were recognized to inhabit these mountains. Due to this, summertime is a real treat for botanists and ecotourists. Employees of the reserve make their own contribution to production of mountain forests. Last summer, they planted thuja trees at the foot of Hantegi. These coniferous trees perfectly fit the landscape of the Karatau range. An educative park was also created recently on a half-a-hectare area next to the border of the reserve. Endemic plants that inhabit the reserve are grown here. The park is mainly visited by school children and students. They get acquainted with flora and fauna of the reserve, monitor the development processes of plants. Perhaps some of them are going to become scientists in the future, researching flora and fauna of Karatau. Students and school kids come here since we cannot take them up to the mountains. According to the legislation, they cannot enter the reserve anyway. Therefore, we attempted to plant endemic plants here to demonstrate the animal kingdom, so that people know what we have in the Karatau reserve. This center has almost everything that is in our reserve. The highest mountains are located in the northern part of Karatau. The Besas peak reaches 2,176 meters above sea level. Nearby is Kelinshek Gorge. From the distance, one of the rocks resembles a woman wearing Kazakh headdress, Kemishek. There are more and more water barriers on our way as we move forward. We leave our horses and continue our walk on foot. Karatau springs are beautiful. The water is clear and ice cold. In clear weather, natural baths glow just like silver. In Hantegi Gorge, springs are everywhere, both in highlands and lowlands. The river is replenished with tributaries of those springs and supplies two cities, Karatau and Turkestan. There are about 37 springs in total on the territory of the reserve. Scientists of the Institute of Ecology conducted a chemical analysis of water. The purest of them turned out to be the Kazanbulak spring. Because of this, it became a geological and geomorphological site in Kazakhstan. There were times when mineral mining activities were held in Karatau Mountains. Subsequently, it led to water pollution. In the past, the waters had high lead content. However, today, natural filtration is taking place. As it happens, soil is a good filter, therefore the water is so clean. We may drink water from any spring without concern. Tourist complex of Karatau is located in Hantegi Gorge. A lot of efforts were put into promoting ecotourism since the establishment of the reserve. The director of the reserve, Adilbayev Jasar Ashirovich, managed to put together a friendly team which had built an infrastructure for researchers, inspectors and tourists, basically from scratch. One of the tourist routes leads to the Hantagi cliff. It is more than 300 meters long. After completion of the trail, one needs to climb to the top of the mountain. It is about 800 meters above sea level. Up there, the Khan's throne is laid out of stones. Local huntsmen assure that in his historical book The Nomads, Ilyasis in Berlin had described the fact that Han Abulhayr had visited this place. During the times of Jungar invasion, the top of this mountain was the observation point. The whole panorama of mountains could be seen from here. We climbed the stairs and found ourselves at the very top of the cliff. The legend says your wishes will come true and your life will change for the better if you sit on this throne. There are many tourists here in summer. For them, the administration of the park created resting points along the river, cozy ornamented gazebos and numerous ecological booths. These booths were made by planting trees in circumference and letting them grow to create a shade. They resemble tropical bungalows. A drainage lake is situated just above this place. It is interesting that symbols of the Karatau Reserve were developed by employees of the scientific department. These 5 points are Bessas, 5 peaks. All water springs of our mountains take their beginning in Bessas. All of them come out from our mountains. That lane over there, these are rivers of our Karatau. Karatau Reserve itself was created to preserve one of the red-listed animals, our local Karatau argali. The graphics of the National Reserve's logo resembles petroglyphs that are abundant in Karatau Mountains. We saw them in the upper reaches of the Baildur Gorge. Argali was the main source of inspiration for ancient artists' works. Therefore, we might say that the brand symbol of the Karatau Reserve, Argali, is descendant of artists from distant eras. The main function of the Karatau Reserve is to preserve the animal world, the Karatau argali, and to create a museum under the open sky. The next hike along the Baildur Gorge began early in the morning. Our goal today is to find argali. It is not that easy to detect them. Argali prefer open spaces, steep mountain slopes and foothills, rocky gorges overgrown with shrubs, valleys with stony hills and alpine meadows. There are 3 subspecies of argali in Kazakhstan: Northern Kazakhstan argali, Tien Shan and Karatau argali. Karatau mountain sheep is a wild ancestor of fat-tailed sheep. It was scientifically recorded by the world-famous researcher of Tien Shan, Nikolai Severtsev, back in 1873. Then, thousands of mountain sheep grazed on the slopes of Sirdarya Karatau. In the 21st century, the International Union for Conservation of Nature included the Karatau argali into the Red List, which puts them into category of the most endangered species. When the reserve was just established, researchers counted only 38 mountain sheep in Karatau. We didn't see any argali this time. However, on rocky cliffs we have found griffins, inhabitants of the Karatau peaks. Sometimes they drop their feathers. We found one feather right on the path. Many beetles and spiders creep on the rocks. The spring weather in the reserve is changeable. Hot sunny day suddenly changes into a dense fog that covers mountain peaks. By the evening, the air temperature can drop by 10 degrees. Clouds will fill the skies, resulting in a fine rain. This is the amazing nature of these mountains. This is where you find yourself believing in fairy tales and myths, admiring beautiful flowers and clear, clean springs. It's time for us to go and be on our way again. We continue our journey to the resort places of Kazakhstan.